Hello students, good afternoon to all of you. I Resi Saxena, Assistant Professor in Department of Electrical Engineering. Now I am taking a lecture of the subject Electrical Machine 1. So the electrical machine is basically comprised into two parts, Machine 1 and Machine 2. If I am talking about the Machine 1, so Machine 1 is basically based on the direct current machines and one AC machine. So direct current machine means in short form we call it as DC machine. Now if I'm talking about the DC machine, my dear students, so DC machine is basically the direct current machines, and direct current is what? The current whose magnitude and phase does not change with respect to time. Means there is a magnitude only, no phase. There is what? There is a magnitude only, no phase. So we can say what, my dear student? We can say what? So magnitude does not change, a straight line. We can say a straight line means there is no variation of angle, only positive or only negative. Because in DC we having two things, positive or negative. So maybe positive or maybe negative. I hope you understand. Now DC machines. So DC machines which we are going to study later on this subject, that is rotating machines. And if I am talking about the rotating machine, my dear student, so rotating means some rotating part is they machines having some rotating part. And if they having some rotating part, my dear student, so rotating means we having rotor, we called as rotor. And in simple way, we also called as in DC machine, we called as generator, basically the armature. Okay. And the two DC machines which called as rotating electrical DC machines, they are DC motor and DC generator. So unit 3 and unit 4 basically tells you all these things. So we will cover it. But because we want to basically we are at the end of the unit 2 and we are starting the unit number 3 after this, or we can say the after the this lecture. So we have to understand the basic means in machines, that is rotating machines, we can say. So motor and generator both are the comes in the category of rotating machines, that is DC rotating machines. That is what? DC rotating machines. Okay. And if I am talking about the non-rotating machine, though it is the only one, that is transformer. Because in transformer we doesn't have any rotating. And if I am talking about the rotating electrical machines, though it is basically based on electromechanical energy conversion, which I previously in my previous lecture I told you about this thing. So electromechanical energy conversion, that basic is the electromechanical energy conversion. So in this two word I am using electromechanical. One word is there, but I am combining the two things, that is electrical and mechanical. So I am combining the electrical and mechanical. So combination of these two electrical mechanical will gives you the electro. So the electromechanical energy conversion takes place. Now how it takes place? I'm converting the one form of energy to the another form. One form is electrical, another is the mechanical. So I'm converting electrical energy into the mechanical energy and vice versa, mechanical to electrical. So I'm converting these two. If I'm converting the electrical into the mechanical, that is known as motor. That is known as what? Motor. Okay. And if I'm uh, converting the mechanical power into the electrical power, my dear student. So mechanical to electrical means I'm generating something. In my way, I'm generating the electrical power. But as per the energy conservation law, what it says, energy neither be created or nor be destroyed. Neither be created and nor be destroyed. So neither be created nor be destroyed, but transform from one part to the other. So we can transform it. That is, we can change it. We can do what? Change it. So electrical to mechanical I am changing, known as motor. Mechanical to electrical I am changing, that is generator. Voltage, current, energy, power, converting it into torque, speed, rotation, RPM, revolution per minute, revolution per second, rotation per minute, rotation per second. and RPM, RPS, torque, rotation converted into voltage, power, energy generator. Previous was motor. So motor output is the input for generator and generator output is the input for motor. So we can say vice versa thing are there. But if I want to convert these two, I need one coupling circuit, that is known as intermediate circuit, that is also known as intermediate stage. One stage is electrical power, another is the mechanical power. Middle one I need some power. Means two powers are there. One is working like this, another one is working like this, another working like this. So one thing I need as a coupling, that is intermediate. So that intermediate state or that basically intermediate circuit, also known as coupling circuit, is what magnetic circuit. Is what, my dear student, the magnetic circuit. So in the first unit, I told you about the basics. How many magnetic circuits we have, magnetic field how generates, BH, that is density, intensity, relation of these two, reluctance, MMF, BH curve. We have already studied the BH curve in unit number 1. It comes in the unit number 2 also, but unit number 1 we have completed it. We have covered it basically. So BH curve is there. Series and parallel magnetic circuit we have. Okay, so these two. Now in this unit, in this unit we having the electromagnetic force and torque. Why it is called as electromagnetic force, my dear student? Electromagnetic force. Again, two word combination of two word give you the one, that is electromagnetic. But what is electromagnetic? Electrical and magnetic. So the combination of these two apply a force. And if force is applying something, thing see, one thing is stays here. It is stencil. Now applying a force on it, it moves. So force due to displacement, force into displacement, cause displacement. What happens? Rotation, torque applicable. So that is the thing. Now in this lecture, what is my objective? What is my motto? To teach you, to tell you what we have to basically go through. So help the students to understand about the nature of magnetic material, force and torque. Nature of magnetic material, force and torque. Okay, and make the student familiar with the nature of this, that is magnetic material force and torque on closed circuit. First, the nature of magnetic material force, how basically the force applicable in the magnetic material, and torque, and the nature, what nature we have on closed circuit. If circuit is closed, all effect we have. So we are going to study this in this lecture. Now, the nature of magnetic material force and torque on closed circuit. So first, we are going to study the nature of magnetic material force. Now, magnetic material force I already told you. Whenever there is a current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field, current carrying conductor means a current carrying by the conductor placed in a what? Placed in a what, my dear student? In a placed in a magnetic field. So if it is placed in a magnetic fields, so due to that magnetic field we having some interaction, means force applied on that coil and on that conductor, that is having the, that is basically current carrying. And if I'm talking about the current carrying means, current carrying means, my dear student, what do you mean by current carrying? Current carrying means conductor. Current always carries the current. I'm not talking about the insulator, because in the insulator having the resistance tends to infinity property, and conductor having the resistance tends to zero, and semiconductor having lie between these two, zero to infinity. So we talked a lot and on a closed circuit application circuit. Now the magnetic field P, that is density, and we can also called as density means what? Flux per Weber per meter square. So the magnetic field is there, is defined from the Lorentz force law, which we have already studied. Which type of law? Lorentz force law. The Lorentz force law. And specifically from the magnetic force on moving charge. Specifically from the magnetic force on what? Moving charge. Charge is moving and we having the magnetic force on it. If it is not perpendicular, no torque applicable. Parallel, no applicable, but perpendicular, applicable. We have studied in the previous lectures. So F is force, Q is the charge, V is the velocity into P. P is what? Your magnetic field. So charge is there, moving first, with the velocity moving means current, can say, into B. B is your magnetic field. Or B is your what? The magnetic field. Okay. This force is perpendicular to the both velocity V of the charge and the magnetic field P. So we can say, as per our discussion, previous discussions, previous lectures, basically, I told you one thing: the force is perpendicular to both velocity V of the charge, both the velocity V of the charge Q. Means something. One thing is there. Am I applying some force on it? It will start moving. So moving with some velocity, because if current is flowing in a conductor, current is flowing in a conductor placed in a magnetic field. So due to this, what will happen? Force applicable. But force is applicable. How it's applicable by the student? It is perpendicular to both velocity, moving means, of the charge Q. Means Q is moving. So velocity V of the charge. And what? Second thing is magnetic field, or we can say the magnetic field density. That is P. Okay. Now the magnitude of the force is F is equal to QVB. We can say sign form in a small form, and the sine angle, because something is there, but if I'm moving, so some angle is there. So we can also write like this: F is equal to QV sine. Sine having some angle. Okay. Where is the angle is less than 180 degrees. Less than what? 180 degrees between the velocity and the magnetic. Between V and V, they having some angle, that is we call as sine theta, whatever. So I am not write anything here. I am just representing sine. Where is the angle? Where is the angle? Angle less than 180 degree between, basically a 180 degree between the velocity and the magnetic. The velocity and the velocity through which the charges are moving, that, and your what? The magnetic. Okay. So this is the 180 degree between the velocity and the magnetic field. So this implies that the magnetic force on stationary charge or a charge moving parallel to the magnetic field is zero. I earlier told you, if it is perpendicular, if I am taking on a page, if the force is perpendicular to the velocity of the charge and the field, then we can say the force having some value. Force having some value. But implies force on a stationary charge. The charge is stationary. The charge is not moving or moving parallel to the magnetic field is zero. Means if parallel is there, then we have zero. If perpendicular there, then we have value maximum. And we called as F is equals to QVB sine theta phi whatever. Okay. And psi is the angle between velocity and the magnetic field. Velocity of what? Velocity of charge. Velocity of charge. Okay. Now the direction of the force is given by right hand. The direction of the force is given by the right hand rule, that is Fleming right hand rule. We can say the movement of the conductor in a magnetic field induced EMF, we can say. So look like this, perpendicular. Okay, we can also say like this, thumb rule. Okay, by right hand rule, the force relationship above is in the form of vector product. So we can say that it is a scalar product. It is the direction based thing, because we are basically on the perpendicular, not parallel. So direction is there, one and one. So direction is there. So we can say these are the which type of quantity, my dear student, in the form of vector product. In the form of vector product. Okay. Now force from the relationship above, it can be deduced that the units of magnetic field are Newton seconds, or we can say Newton second per coulomb. If I am talking about the from the force relationship, that is what? QVB, QVB sign, but they are in the vector. Okay. So from the force relationship above, which we have actually deduced, it can be deduced that the unit of magnetic fields are though the units of magnetic fields are Newton seconds per coulomb meter, Newton second per coulomb meter, or Newton per ampere meter, Newton per ampere meter, Newton meter we can say. This unit is named the Tesla. Like this unit is named the Tesla. Tesla. Tesla given the name. It is a larger unit, and the smaller unit Gauss is used for small field like Earth magnetic. As I earlier told you, Earth having the magnetic field. In my previous lectures, I told you Earth having the magnetic field. If Earth having the south, it is look. But if I am having the magnet, this the magnetic field, the magnet south pole will attract towards that means it is a north. If a north is attracts toward the magnetic pole of Earth, we can call it as south. Okay, opposite poles attract, same pole repel. Okay, I already told you this thing. So for small field like the Earth magnetic field, we use Gauss. A Tesla is a 10,000 Gauss. It is what basically, if I am talking about the one Tesla means, my dear student, that is one Tesla means, my dear student, one Tesla is what? 10,000 Gauss. Okay, the Earth magnetic field is one of the order of the half a Gauss. Is on the order of the half a Gauss. Half a Gauss. Okay, so for Earth magnetic field we use Gauss, that is 1 Tesla is 10,000 Gauss, and the Earth magnetic field is on the order of a half a Gauss. So I hope you understand. Now our relationship we can reduce that unit of magnetic field are Newton second per coulomb meter or Newton per ampere meter. This unit is named the Tesla. Okay, and we can also say that if I am talking about the force or torque, we can say Newton per meter square. We can also call like this Newton per meter. So it is a large unit, and the smaller unit Gauss. Tesla is this larger unit, bigger unit, huge unit for very wide range. But if I am talking about the small, we use Gauss. We use what? Gauss. And it is like Earth magnetic field. We are assuming that it is a Earth magnetic field. So for a field like Earth magnetic field, we having Gauss. And one Tesla is what? 10,000 Gauss. One Tesla is what, my dear student? 10,000 Gauss. So the Earth magnetic field is on the order of half a Gauss. The Earth magnetic field is what? On the order of half a Gauss. You can see. Now, force on a moving charge. Now see here. The force on a moving charge. So as I earlier told you, force on a moving charge is what? Force on a moving charge is given by the Lorentz force law. Lorentz was the physicist. Basically, he gave a result, that is force law. So both the electrical and magnetic field can be defined from the Lorentz force law. Can be defined from what? The Lorentz force law. That is the Lorentz force law, my dear student. And the Lorentz force law is given by what? F is denoting force, Q is the charge, QE. That is electrical force, QE. Okay, electrical force is basically the EMF. Basically, EMF is what? Electromotive force. It basically creates a potential difference. That difference basically creates the force applied on the charges, and through these charges are moving from one place to the another. So if rate of flow of charges is known as current, so current is flow. Current is moving, current is flowing. Okay, with addition with the QV. QV is into B, as I earlier told you. QV into B is what, my dear student? That is magnetic force. So force combining two things. One is the electrical force, another one is the magnetic force. So electrical force is basically the EMF, magnetic force is the MMF, we can say. But here we are having the QE for the electrical, that is the directional basis, means they are the vector, plus QV into B. QV into B means Q is what? Q is what, my dear student? Q is basically your charge, and B is the velocity, and B is your magnetic field density, or we can say magnetic field. Okay. Now electric force is straightforward. It is basically the straightforward, straight. It works in the straight direction. Or we can say the straightforward. Being in the direction of electrical. being in the direction of what? Electrical field. If charge q is positive, if the charge is q is what? Positive, but the direction of the magnetic part of the force is given by right hand rule. It is given by right hand rule. My dear student, it is given by right hand rule. Now one thing I want to tell you here, it is basically one thing. In motor or generator, we having two things, motor and generator. So if I'm talking about the motor, so motor, in the motor we use basically the Fleming right hand. What we use basically, my dear student? Fleming right hand. In Fleming right hand rule, the direction is clockwise. The direction of the motor is clockwise. Okay, we are moving. But if I'm talking about the basically generator, Fleming right hand rule, clockwise. If I'm talking about the motor, my dear student, so motor having Fleming left hand. That is direction basis. Is direction. So if I'm talking about the direction, so direction means if I'm talking about the motor, so in motor, Fleming left hand rule, it is the rotor start rotate into the anti-clockwise direction, and in generator it is start rotate into the clockwise direction. So for right hand rule we use in the generator, and left hand rule we use in the motor. So basic thing are there. If we don't know that how current carrying conductor plays in a magnetic field, experience of force. If I don't know, if you don't know, if Lorentz not given any force law, right? We don't know. So these are the basic concepts. These are what? These are the basic concepts. Okay. So it is given by the what? Fleming right hand rule or right hand rule. So see here. Electric charge Q is applicable here, and that is the force. Force is the direction, it is parallel to it, and negative this time. It is electrical. But if I'm talking about the magnetic field, that is magnetic circuit, coupling circuit, the field which we are using for the magnetic purpose. Though here, the north magnetic pole represented here, that is an magnetic field is there, and B is the magnetic field, B is the velocity of charge, and S is not pole. They are perpendicular to each other. Now, magnetic force of a magnitude QVB sine theta perpendicular to both V and B away from V1. It is away from the view. It is not able to, you can't able to see, but it is perpendicular. If perpendicular to B and V of Q, Q velocity means charge velocity, then we can say it is perpendicular to this force applicable. But if it is can't possible, then we can say the force value is Z. Force value is Z. So I hope you understand. Now it is directly shown. Just go through the diagram. It is very easy. Just see it. I'm taking this reference on the three axis, X, Y, Z. That is the 3D. You can see. Okay. Now see here. See here, my dear student. Plus and minus. Instead of plus and minus, we can use dot and cross. I'm using plus and minus here. So plus minus. Plus is representing in, and minus representing the I. Leaving, entering and leaving. Entering and leaving. So plus denoting you the entering sign, that is means arrow is entering, current is entering basically, and the negative sign shows you the leaving. So first I'm talking about the entering, that is the A figure. So here in this, the charge is moving in a conductor. The charge is moving in a conductor or material, and this is the charge. Now here we are having the magnetic field, which is in the perpendicular. In a magnetic field, this is showing you the magnetic field. This is showing you the negative positive charges. Plus sign shows you the entering. So if current is entering with the velocity v, the perpendicular, that is the what? Charge perpendicular is what? Magnetic field. The perpendicular of these two will get what? A force. That is the perpendicular of both these two quantities. Both quantities basically the charges, their velocity, and the magnetic field. So we can say the F is there. That is the force. Okay, I hope you understand. So here we can identify the three axes. Three axes we can say representing, these are the three things are perpendicular to each other. If I am representing this is force, so I am representing this is current, and I am representing this is field. So in this field, x and y are perpendicular to each other, and due to this perpendicular, we having the force which is perpendicular to these two, that is x and y. So we can identify through this thing. So the first case telling you about the entry. About what? About the entry. Means current is entering, showing by the plus sign. Okay. In this figure, that is the B part or B image. In this, what happening basically? Minus sign showing you the leaving. Sign showing you the current is leaving. I shown by here. Again, we having the direction changes. Now, if I'm entering, the negative positive. If I'm leaving, positive negative. So here the direction are changes. If I'm entering means positive is there, negative is there. Here this is the opposite side. Means this side now opposite it. So if I'm opposite it though, this thing positive, this thing negative, this thing positive, now change it. This thing positive, this thing negative. So this thing same happens in this figure. Here in this positive side. Here in this negative. In the previous case, negative this side and positive this side. So this is the entering one, this is the leaving one. Okay, but here in this is the positive sign, this is the negative sign, means I basically change this bar, this conductor. So here what happens, again current is entering with the velocity, means charges is flowing with the velocity, current same, it is linear. Okay, perpendicular to this current we having what, magnetic field, and through these two perpendicular we having the force. It is again, I'm considering this is the current, this is the magnetic field, and this is what, force. So we can make a three-dimensional graph, a three-dimensional figure. So just go through it, try to understand what is it. So here the same thing we are understanding. F is equals to addition of two things, electrical force and magnetic force. So electrical force we having, in the addition we having the magnetic force. Electrical force is basically what, QE, simply direction basis is vector. And if I'm talking about the magnetic force, so magnetic force is what, basically QVB, as I earlier told you, Lorentz force. So these two addition we having the force. Okay, and force is applicable when the magnetic field is perpendicular to the electric current and is perpendicular to the force, and direction is given by the right hand, like this. You can say like this. This is the rotation force in a magnetic field induced. You can say like this. Okay, so it always start with the clockwise direction. But if I'm talking about the motor, it is look like this. It clockwise, the anti-clockwise, anti-clockwise and clockwise. So motor always rotated in the anti-clockwise direction, Fleming left hand rule, and generator always rotated in the direction of right hand, means clockwise. So in this figure, I earlier told you three axes we can make, x, y, z. X axis we are considering as a current, y axis I am considering as a force, and z axis I am considering as a magnetic field. So in magnetic field with the perpendicular current, the perpendicular with these two we have the force. If these are plane, then there will be no force. The value of the force will be 0. Okay, my dear student, I hope you understand. Now, force and torque in a closed circuit. So it is an illustration. Now, one thing I want to tell you, my dear student, one thing, very simple. Very simple, one thing I want to tell you, that is, if force is applying on a thing, I apply a force, for example, a thing like this. If force is applying, so if it is applying, so it will start moving like this. If moving is there, so displacement is there. And if force is there, displacement is there, they are basically in the vector basis. So what can I say? What you can say? What we can say? We can say this thing, that torque is applicable. Torque is present there, because torque is what? The cross or the vector product of force and displacement. F cross D, force into displacement. So force is there, displacement is there. What will happen? The torque produce, and it starts. Now, a simple illustration for you, that is a force and torque on a closed circuit. So my the next two units are basically deals with this, that is the motor and generator, my dear student. So if I'm talking about the motor and generator basically, so one thing I want to tell you, a basic thing. First of all, in a brief, I'm telling you what how motor works basically, how this applicable, this all thing. One thing is there, we having two things. One is the rotor, another one is the stator. Stator we called as a field in DC machines, but in AC machine we always called as stator. And the stator word came from the stationary, static part, means which is not rotating, which is always stationary. So stator is there, and another part is the rotor, it is rotating. So in DC machine, we easily means first DC machine was basically generated or invented by the physicists, and then we have the AC machine because we have the DC supply. First we have the DC supply, then we have the AC supply. So DC machine means DC motor, DC generator is there. So in that machine we having two concepts. One is the stationary, another one is the rotating. Stationary part always called as a stator in AC machines, but in DC machine we called as a field for the starting phase to understand this. Now, if I'm talking about the field, field is basically of that part which creates the magnetic, which creates what? The magnetic. Though we having two types of magnetic, electromagnetic or permanent. Electromagnet or permanent. If I am talking about the permanent magnet, my dear student, so they are called as permanent, all time persist a magnetic field. But if I am talking about the electromagnet, though I have to make the magnet. I have to basically do what? I have to I have to make the magnet. So the permanent magnet easily not easily available in the market of huge range, wide range of larger size, but small size easily available. Of bar magnet easily available in the market. But if I'm talking about the what? Talking about you the electromagnet. So electromagnet concepts basically came from the Biot-Savart law. Came from the what? Biot-Savart law. So if I'm talking about the Biot-Savart law, my dear student, so they gave you the concept basically, both scientists or physicists. Nowadays we are using scientists the word, but basically they are the physicists. So both physicists basically invented one thing, that if we apply the EMF or voltage source in a coil, due to that voltage source or EMF source, what will happen? The force supply and charges are moving. If charges are moving, means current is flowing. If current is flowing, that current meet with the turn of that coil. That is converted into ampere turn. Now, ampere turn is basically the quantity of magnetic field, because ampere turn divided by the reluctance of that circuit gives you the flux. Then flux is there, then waving as per the area, field is there, that is B, magnetic field. And how much mmf in a length we have, that is intensity. So the B or H curve we have already studied, that is the magnetic field density or intensity. So field, I'm talking about the field. So in field we having the magnetic poles, that is known as field poles. We make the poles, we gave a shape to them, we basically wound a winding on it to generate a electromagnetic field. Okay, field pole is there. If I'm considering as a pole, though how it become a pole, it is electromagnetic pole. So if electromagnetic pole is there, though I have to use winding on it, I have to place some winding on it. So I place winding on it. Then we having the core. Why we use core? That is known as pole core. It is made up of iron for the small motors, but for the huge HP large size motors or light size machines, we use what, my dear student? We use steel sheet. We use steel. Okay, that having the good, we can say, we have already studied about the what, pH curve. So in this pH curve we know about the two things. One is magnetization, saturation. If I apply more, then it is demagnetization, reversal of magnetism. That is pH curve, hysteresis curve, known as hysteresis. So that hysteresis is basically what, it is a concept reversal of magnetism. So steel sheet or steel having more compared to the iron. Now, so field I am talking about field core made up of it, field winding made up of copper or aluminum. Small machine we use aluminum, lower HP machine we use aluminum. For cost cutting we use aluminum, for cheaper cost we use aluminum. But if we want to talk about the heavy duty machines, and we use what, my dear student? We use copper. So copper is there. Okay, there we having the pole shoe on which we place it. That construct a field means this is shown by here. I'm talking about this thing. That is the magnets or magnetic pole. Here in this diagram, we having the permanent magnets. But permanent magnets are not easily available, my dear student. Permanent magnets are not easily available in a wide range or in a huge range or in a we can say uh, demand, higher demand. In small pieces we can easily purchase from the market, but it costs you a lot. But if I'm talking about the bigger size of magnet, is very costly. So instead of this thing, we can make magnet that is electron. So field having field core, field coil, pole core, that is field core, and pole shoe. Understand? Then we having what? Then we having this part. This part now. This part. That is the rotor. And rotor is basically what? Rotor consists of rotor core, slots in which we place winding on it because it carries the current, it takes the current flows into that coil. So conductor we have to use it. So we having these slots, in that slots we use to place the coil. So armature core again made up of ferromagnetic material. Core is there, then we having the slot on it, then we having the winding on it, that is copper or aluminum. Later on in the third unit, I will tell you in the brief, in the elaborative manner, which type of coil or how we can assemble it, basically make it, basically join it. Okay, so make the connections basically. So that is the armature core, armature winding place on it. Okay, now armature core, armature winding, armature slots are there. So if we give supply, basically current carrying conductor is there, that is the coil, plays in a magnetic field. See, current carrying conductor coil placed in a magnetic field, it experiences what? Perpendicular to each other. Force is there. What is it, my dear student? Force is there. And if force is there, so displacement of this coil take place. Now this is the coil. This coil take place the displacement. Through this displacement, what will happen? It moves like this. Slightly it moves. So if it is moving, so the force applicable is ILB, that is Bill. That is BIL. We can say in a short form. Okay, magnetic force acts perpendicular to both wire and magnetic field, that is current and magnetic field. Wire having the magnetic current basically. Okay, so electric current I am applying, current carrying conductor plays in a magnetic field, it experiences a force is there. One thing is stationary like this, and if I push, one thing is stationary, if I am pushing like this, for example I'm pushing like this, so it moves. So if it is moving, so what happened? Displacement is there. If displacement is there, my dear student, so force into displacement or force cross displacement, vector product of force and displacement gives you what? Torque. So torque applicable is there, and due to this torque, it is in a closed circuit. It is in a closed circuit. That is why it is called as closed circuit. So if it is in a closed circuit, what will happen? Torque applicable. So due to this torque, it will start rotate. It will start rotate like this. Okay. If it start rotate, though, see, my dear student, we having what? We having the commutator segment. We having the commutator segment. Why we use commutator later on, I'll tell you in the unit number 3. But commutator is basically a device which is convert bidirectional current into unidirectional. Which type of current it converts basically, my dear student? It converts bidirectional current into unidirectional current. So I hope you understand about bidirectional current and unidirectional current. So basically I'm talking about the DC. So it is always unidirectional current. So I have to make unidirectional current. So that is why we use commutator. Now see here. When an electrical current passes through a coil, that is a coil, in a magnetic field, a magnetic force here, that is built, produces a torque. Produces a torque which turns the DC motor. Turns the DC motor means rotor of the DC motor. Okay. Now see, it's rotate like this. One thing is there, if we having no additional torque is there, no additional force applying is there, that it always follows the left hand. Okay, means it start always anti-clockwise side, it rotates in anti-clockwise, always rotating this like this anti-clockwise, not in the clockwise direction. Okay, so it rotates in the anti-clockwise direction, my dear student. Now see, so magnetic force, that is ILB, acts perpendicular to both wire and a magnetic field. As earlier told you, Lorentz force, that magnetic field B, current is I. If they are perpendicular to each other and perpendicular to the force, then force value having something, otherwise it is zero. Now electrical current supplied externally through a commutator. Through a commutator, what we are going to do? We are basically supplying a current. And in generator, we take current from this. In motor, we give supply to it, supply through here, and in current we are taking supply from it, we are taking the output of electrical from here. So I hope you understand about this thing. This is the closed circuit. Now the nature of magnetic materials, a little bit we will talk about the nature of magnetic materials. Now previously we talked about uh, the nature of magnetic force and torque on closed path, that is the mode. So in third unit, we are starting the unit number 3. So in unit number 3 you will find how it takes place, how it basically works, how it works. Okay, now see here. The nature of magnetic materials I'm talking about. Magnetic materials may be classified as diamagnetic, paramagnetic, or ferromagnetic on the basis of their susceptibilities. On the basis of their magnetic, we can say magnetic thing material, that is permeability and susceptibility. Now the diamagnetic materials such as bismuth. If I'm talking about the bismuth, my dear student, that is the diamagnetic material. It is what? The diamagnetic material such as bismuth. When placed in external magnetic field, if I am using a diamagnetic, it is also known as diamagnetic, means diamagnetic is there. Okay, and when placed in an external magnetic field, I'm placing bismuth, for example. I'm placing bismuth in an external magnetic field. Partly expel the external field. Partly it does what? Expel the external field from within themselves. Partially expel the external field. Partially expel the external field from within themselves. And if shaped like a rod, line up at the right angles to a non-uniform magnet. If it's shaped like what, my dear student? Rod, and line up at right angles to non-uniform magnetic non-uniform magnetic field. So we can say it is a diamagnetic. Diamagnetic is there. Half we can say dia is there. Diamagnetic. So diamagnetic materials are characterized by constants, small negative susceptibilities, on only slightly affected by changing temperature. Only what we can say, slightly affected by the change in temperature. So I hope you understand. Okay. Now moving forward. Again, paramagnetic materials. So paramagnetic materials such as platinum, if I'm taking an example such as platinum, increase a magnetic field in which they are placed because their atoms have a small magnetic dipole. Dipole is there but having the small magnetic dipole moment that partially line up with the external. So it increases the magnetic field in which they are placed. They increase up. They grow, basically add on the magnetic field because their atoms have a small magnetic dipole. Their atoms having what? The small magnetic dipole moments that partially line up with the external field. Partially line up with the external field. So increase amount. Now, diamagnetic we have paramagnetic. Now, paramagnetic metal have constant small positive susceptibilities. The paramagnetic metal have what? Paramagnetic metals have constant small positive susceptibilities. Less than 1 by 1000 at room temperature. It is very less. You can say 1 by 1000 at room temperature, which means that the enhancement of the magnetic field caused by alignment of magnetic dipoles is relatively small compared with the applied. Relatively small compared with the applied. Now, paramagnetic susceptibility is inversely proportional to the value of absolute temperature. What is it? If I am talking about the paramagnetic susceptibility, so paramagnetic susceptibility is inversely proportional to the value of the absolute temperature. The absolute temperature we have. The temperature increase cause great thermal vibration of atoms. If I am increasing the temperature, cause what? Great thermal vibration of atoms. Great thermal vibration of atoms, which interfaces with alignment of magnetic dipoles, which basically interface the alignment of magnetic dipoles. This is about paramagnetic. Before it is what diamagnetic. Now ferromagnetic. So which we use basically, which we are using for making electromagnets. That is iron, nickel, cobalt, alloy of metal, steel sheets. Ferromagnets such as iron and cobalt do not have constant susceptibility. PVC one they having some constant susceptibilities, less or increase, but they have constant do not have constant. The magnetization is not usually proportional to the applied field. We can say the magnetization is not usually proportional to the applied field strength. We can say. Now, measured ferromagnetic susceptibilities have relatively larger positive values, sometimes in excess of 10,000. It is very high. Thus, within ferromagnetic materials, the magnetization may be more than 1,000 times, maybe more than 1,000 times larger than the external magnetization. If I'm posing some external magnetic field, so it is larger than the external magnetization field. Okay, because such materials are composed of highly magnetized cluster. Such materials are composed of what? Highly magnetized cluster. Highly magnetized cluster of atomic magnets. So ferromagnetic domains. I already told you they are not aligned. But if we give some supply, they are aligned and give saturation, magnetization, then saturation. That are more easily lined up by the external. That I already told you. So it is mostly lined up by the external field. Very easy. Okay. So I hope you understand about this thing, the nature of magnetic field. This is the one thing, force and torque on a closed circuit, okay, and how force occurs. Now, these are the some simple MCQs, basically with this you, because we are talking about the force and torque. So the torque of a conductor is defined by only in case perpendicular we have, and the angle at which you, so 90 is there. In a field we having a force of 12, we can directly multiply it. The torque of a conductor with flux density. So IA, we can do the density is given to you, current is given to you, area is given to you, IAB. We can directly do this, apply the force. So here we again find the torque, having the current we have given to you. So we can also directly call IAB. The magnetic moment is given third. We having the third option is there. The magnetic node of field current directly multiply it. Length is given to in the second. You can find it. The presence of parallel alignment of magnetic moment is given by the material. Paramagnetic, diamagnetic, paramagnetic. So we have already studied. So you can give the answer. The magnetic wave lines from north to south. You can find out. So I hope these are the MCQs for you related to this lecture. Now references. Now if I'm talking a lot about this thing, so I have to refer something. I have to read something. I have to go through this thing. So these are the some books. A. Fitzgerald is a very good book. Concepts are very good. Step J. Chapman is also a very good book, and Gopal K. Dubey is a very good book of Indian author, and the above two are for the international author. So they having the very wide range, elaborated range of this chapter, basically the magnetic circuit and the machines part. So I took some part from the each books. So these are the very good books. Just go through it, read it. So this is all about from my side in this lecture. I hope you understand. Thank you for listening. I hope you understand this thing. I hope you understand about this lecture. So it is all about from my side. Hope you understand a lot, students. Thank you for listening. Thank you.